You actually were the first woman I'd seen, woman of color on Broadway, period, but with locks. With locks. And at the time I had little baby locks, and I thought that was so inspiring that you could be there doing that.
I thought that was pretty cool myself. Let me tell you a little story about my mother when she came to Aida. That's the last time I saw her, was when she came to see me. And revolutionary to the bone. Do you remember the second act, where we're in the jail with my father, and he is upset with me because the amulet around my neck, he realizes, belongs to the enemy. I'm in love with the enemy. And so he said, Aida, do not tell me these Egyptians grieve for the Nubian men executed and the women ravaged. Now, I had told my mother earlier, behave yourself. At that point in the show, she went, all right. Let me tell you, the fourth wall there for a minute, everything just froze. And we were able to continue with the scene, but the guy who played my father, Tyrese was his name. He was like, Nina Simone commented on my scene.
Let me take you back. Lights, camera, action, it's on. New black film revolution born. Movers, shakers, big and little filmmakers. Let's make a movie today, see where it take us. Halle Berry, Denzel, and Jamie. Terrence Howard, Mike D, and Spike Lee. Brand new filmmaker born every day.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert X. Goffin for Reelblack TV, and with me is Clark Duke, star of the new film Sex Drive. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Now, I've seen the film, very funny.
Thank you.
Tell me what attracted you to the project.
The script was funny. You know, it's just as simple as that for the most part. That's all you really have to base anything on at first when you sign on for something.
Ian, you're 18 and you've never had a girlfriend. That's how people wind up getting gay.
I don't think that's really how it happens.
The movie centers around this guy, Ian, who is a virgin, who meets this girl online. She says will sleep with him if he drives to Knoxville, Tennessee, where she lives, and we live in Chicago in the film. So I play his friend, who's kind of this charismatic ladies' man type of guy, who has always like coached him and given him advice on how to get girls, and I helped talk him into stealing his brother's car and going on this road trip to go find this girl and have sex. You just gotta stop worrying about being the good guy all the time. I mean, okay, look at Andy and Randy over there. You think they care what women think about them?
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Hi, I'm collecting for the underprivileged children of Ecuador.
Those guys are total nards. They never get anywhere.
That's just because they don't know how to close. But their ability to open isn't heroic.
You wear thong underpants?
Do you want us to take our shirts off?
Where do you live?
Is your mom hot too?
And I know the film is based on a novel called Going All the Way.
Yeah, I never read that.
Never read it.
I don't know if anybody read that.
And in the novel, your character is a bit different than the character in the movie.
Is it?
But
Have you read the novel?
No, but I've heard.
Oh, okay.
But
I haven't read the novel. I have no idea.
I think you were cast against type a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, even in the original version of the script, it was, I think they were, thought it would be more of a Sean William Scott type of guy. Mm-hmm. And, but they said they were just unhappy with how it was coming out because he just came off as kind of a dick. I think if he was like, like the kind of classically like Abercrombie looking dude acting like this, you just kind of hate his guts.
Right.
And they ended up seeing this web show I did called Clark and Michael, and they liked the character's swagger he had, they said, and ended up going a totally different direction. It was my thesis film in college. I went to college. I was a film major out in Los Angeles at Loyola Marymount University. And Clark and Michael, the pilot, the first one was my thesis, and it got really well received, and CBS ended up buying it, and we did 10 of them.
How did you and Michael meet in the first place?
When I was in college, I moved into this apartment complex, and Mike just lived next door in the building. Yep.
Or fate.
Yeah, there you go. And when we met and started writing Clark and Michael, we didn't really have any plans or ambitions for it, to be honest. As far as selling it or do anything with it, it just sort of was something we were doing for fun. And then ended up shooting the one, and it was, a little surprisingly well received. Because I kind of thought it might just be funny to me and him because it seemed very inside, a lot of like personal jokes to us and about the industry and stuff like that. And I was never real sure how interested people would be in guys that wanted to be screenwriters too.
Right.
I didn't know how like approachable that was to a mass audience.
And so the internet craze is still continuing to take the world by storm. What do you think the future holds for entertainers like yourself as it pertains to the internet?
I don't know. The internet's a good distribution system, you know, as far as getting your stuff out there. And it's nice that it's democratic and anybody can, you know, put a show up on there. Problem right now is most of them are terrible. So I think it's just a matter of you know, the quality stuff always kind of rising to the top a little bit.
But for the people out there who want to make money from
I don't
having
know.
this stuff, how do they do that?
That seems to be the one real problem is nobody's figured out how to make that much money off the internet yet, you know?
Right.
Compared to TV or film, anyway. I mean, that was the thing with our show. We weren't trying to make anything with any format in mind. We were just trying to make like what we thought was a funny show. So that'd be my only advice. Because I think a lot of people get caught up with stuff on the web like it has to be a certain length or, you know, a certain format, but I don't think that's true.
And for all our YouTube viewers and the viewers of Reelblack, do you have any shout-outs or anything else you'd like to add?
Maybe just go to clarkandmichael.com, as long as you're on the internet anyway. You know, it's probably pretty convenient at this point for you.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank you,
it. Clark Duke, Sex Drive.
Dude. Hey, what is going on with you? You bought rubbers? How did you know that? It's on Russ Miller's blog. Jesus, that was like 11 minutes ago.
From delivering ribs to delivering love,
I didn't think you were ever gonna get here.
Trey was a true romantic.
Wait, Kylie. Look, just give me one chance.
I'll think about it.
Now,
I mean, you absolutely stunning.
Huh? Oh, hold you, stay away from my girl.
He wants more.
You already done left 10 messages, man. When she ready to call you, she will.
She wants less.
I wouldn't go to the city dump with you.
He wants some.
I noticed that you lovely young ladies are missing one key thing in this hot tub.
And she wants...
Do you have a girlfriend?
Everything.
Come back over here, Trey.
For what?
For me.
I like them young, too. That way you can mold them into whatever you want them to be, like Play-Doh.
Oh, hell no.
Jackie Long, Jason Weaver, Maya, Melissa Ford, and Clifton Powell.
Wow. How many phones does he need?
Love for Sale.
She done turned you into a trick.
No, that makes me the pimp.
No, she would be the pimp.
No, that makes her the judge.
So that makes you the hoe.
No.
If they tell you that a murderer has been released in the neighborhood, how would you feel? And this time we weren't releasing one, we were releasing 40,000.
I'm here with Laura Walters Hinson, director and producer of the film As We Forgive, which just won the Gold Prize for Best Documentary at the Student Academy Awards. Congratulations, Laura. What brings you to AFI Silver Docs?
Oh, thanks so much. Well, I'm a resident of Washington, D.C., and Silver Docs is just one of the best documentary film festivals in the world, as far as I know, and it's one of my favorite events of the year. I have come 3 years in a row now, so I'm just here for the films and the conference.
Tell us more about your film, As We Forgive. What is the premise for this powerful documentary?
As We Forgive is a one-hour documentary about the lives of two Rwandan women who are on a journey to reconcile with the men who killed their families during the 1994 genocide. So it's a really compelling, intense portrayal of two very different stories of reconciliation in Rwanda.
This is such a powerful film. What was your inspiration for this project?
Well, I'd studied African politics. I did study abroad in college in South Africa, and a couple years after college, I visited Rwanda with a group from my church. We were there to establish a sister church partnership. And there I learned that the government of Rwanda was actually releasing tens of thousands of genocide perpetrators who had confessed to their crimes. So in 2003, the government started releasing, I think they released 40,000 at one time. And these killers went back to their hometowns, back to the villages where they killed people. And the reason they were being released is that there was just overcrowding in the prisons. There was a huge backlog of court cases. So, you know, I found this out when I went to Rwanda the first time. And I said, I can't believe this is going on. The world doesn't even know about this. And I was like, that's one of the most compelling, scenarios that I've ever heard in my whole life. So I vowed to come back, to make it my master's thesis for my MFA in film at American University. And so I spent a whole year raising money from family and friends, raised a small budget, $30,000, and came back the next summer in '06 with a group of film students and shot the film.
Talk to us about Mia Farrow. She became involved in this project. How? How did you pull Mia Farrow?
Yeah, that's a great story. I was working with Congressman Frank Wolf from Virginia, and he's big into human rights, and he and I and his staff were working together to plan a congressional screening of As We Forgive. And his staff said, we've worked with Mia Farrow in the past on Darfur-related activities here on the Hill. Can we put you in touch with her? So they emailed her. She said, sure. So then I emailed her, and within 5 minutes of my email, she called me. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mia Farrow is calling me. And she said, I'd love to help out with your film. I'll donate my time. And so whatever I can do to help that, I will do. So come on up to my house and we'll do the narration. So she was incredibly generous and wonderful to work with.
What did it feel like flying to LA to receive the Student Academy Award?
Well, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I knew that the Academy was planning like a week of events for all the winners, but when I got there, I didn't realize how well they were going to treat us. I don't even know why. They were so kind to us. The whole Academy, the Board of Governors of the Academy, they all just gave us the best hospitality we could have ever imagined. They paid for everything. They put us up in this great hotel. They had dinners for us. We got to meet with many just Oscar-winning producers, directors, cinematographers. I had many lunches and breakfasts and dinners with these people, and it was like the gatekeepers were gone, and suddenly these people you can't ever talk to, people who've won Academy Awards, were suddenly like, oh, tell me about your student project. Oh, I loved your film. So I think one of my favorite moments was there's a cinematographer named Caleb Deschanel who's been nominated like 5 times. He's done incredible films. And he came up to me at a party and he said, oh, you're Laura Walters Hinson. I loved your film. It moved me so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the guy who was the cinematographer for The Patriot, National Treasure. Anyway, so just to know that people of that caliber and that level of the profession were caring about our student films and wanting to invest in us was so extraordinary. It was honestly one of the best experiences of my whole life.
What do you hope people take away from this film?
Well, there have been a lot of films about Rwanda. There's a lot of films about Africa, but the thing that struck me most about this story was that this is a story that Africa has to teach us. And so often we see films where we feel sorry for the Africans, or we're just so overwhelmed by the depressing stuff going on over there. And I thought, this is a story, this is a scenario where Africans in Rwanda are doing something so unfathomable and so incredible that the whole world can learn from this. The whole world can take this as an example and be challenged by it and be inspired by it. So, I truly hope that this film changes the way people think about their own lives and the way that they live their own lives.
One last question. How has this experience, going to Rwanda, meeting with these people and watching their struggles and their triumphs with reconciliation, how has that affected your own personal life?
It's affected my life in unknowable ways, in vast ways. I do have one story that I always tell. After I went to Rwanda, and I thought to myself, oh God, how are you going to use this in my life? I've learned a big lesson. How are you going to call me to use this information, this new knowledge? And about 2 weeks after I got back from Rwanda, my ex-fiance called me. He hadn't called me in years. He'd broken my heart in a very serious way. We'd been broken up for 4.5 years. 2 weeks after I got back from my shoot in Rwanda, he calls and he says, I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me and will you let me come and visit you? And I know this has no comparison to genocide in Rwanda at all, but I said, you know, if this man is going to come and ask me to reconcile, you know, I'm going to hear him out. And so needless to say, long story short, 10 months later we were married. So I would say, you know, that this story for me in my marriage, you know, right before we got engaged, the first question my husband asked me is, just to make sure, I want to ask, will you forgive me? And I said, I've already forgiven you and I'll continue to forgive you. And so our marriage is built on forgiveness, I can say, truthfully. And it's been a powerful thing in our own relationship to wash away the old and start with a clean slate. And that's the biggest way I think reconciliation has played out in my own life as a result of the experience in Rwanda.
The power of forgiveness. Thank you so much. You're affecting communities and getting people to begin engaging in civic dialogue about these very real and heart-wrenching topics. So thank you for your wisdom and your ability to go out there and make a change.
I'm Laura Walters Hinson, and you're watching Reelblack.
Young women, young men of color, come up from the gloom of national neglect you have already been paid for. Come out of the shadow of irrational prejudices. You owe no racial debt to history. The blood of our bodies and the prayers of our souls have bought for you a future without shame, bright beyond the telling of it.
Kwanzaa means access. It means access to your soul. It means access to your people.
Kwanzaa is like renewing your annual membership to community, to your family, to your culture, and most importantly to yourself.
Kwanzaa is expressed throughout the world now by people of African heritage who want to have that cultural connectiveness.
These are principles of what we're supposed to be doing 365, you know what I mean, and how we treat each other and how we look at the world.
We did not petition or ask for permission to celebrate. We did it by kujichagulia, self-determination. We determined that this was good for us. We determined that we were going to celebrate it.
People without knowledge of its past is like a tree without roots. People who don't know their history, that don't know where they came from, definitely can't figure out where they're going.
That is our task, you know, to know our past and honor it, and to imagine our good future and to forge it.
Through Kwanzaa and through the 7 principles, you teach the next generation to elevate themselves.
It's your world. It's your time to tell the world how you feel about this world and what you're going to do for yourself. It's really up to you to save your own self.
You are the best we have. You are all we have. You are what we have become. It is time to remember.
It is not merely a holiday. It is a statement about a people, where they were going, and where they continue to go.
What's up, everybody? This is Lyrespect, and we're here at World Cafe Live with Simone, daughter of the incredible, incomparable Nina Simone.
My voice of love lights his name. Ask no pity, bear no shame. I'm the keeper of the flame.
What brings you to Philadelphia tonight?
I'm performing this evening with a 20-piece big band. Very excited about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can imagine. And you're performing from your new project, your album.
Simone on Simone.
Simone on Simone.
Yes.
And tell us a little more about your project and what that means.
This is my debut CD, which has been about 16 plus years in the making. So I am self-actualizing right now, loving every second. And it is a celebration of my mother, Nina. And it consists of all, well, not all my favorite tunes, but we started with the first 12 of my favorite tunes.
Okay, okay. Some of which include what?
Oh, Gal from Joe's, Keeper of the Flame, How Long Must I Wander,
Yes,
Hold No Grudge.
Okay,
Oh,
all
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
And I was also, I was doing my research, and there's one song in particular that you call a love song to your mother?
Yes, it's the only original tune on there called Child in Me. And I wrote it in Spain back in the early 90s. And actually, my mother loved the song very much.
Oh, wow. So she actually
did.
got a chance to hear
Oh, yes,
it. Oh,
she
how
did.
amazing,
She
amazing.
did.
Okay, so you're this wonderful, amazing performer. You've done musical theater, you've
Yes.
done Broadway, you've
Yes.
done Aida and Rent.
Yes.
But you didn't set out to be a singer, did you?
Well, no, not really. It was just something that I did naturally. And I didn't make a conscious decision to do this as a profession until I was in my late 20s. I was actually in the military stationed in Frankfurt, Germany at the time when the lightning bolt hit me, and I was like, what the heck have you been doing all this time? So usually I find that the answers to many questions that we seem to be seeking in our lives have always been right there before us all the time.
Absolutely. So do you feel like the reception was, that you were well received when you decided this is what I want to do?
By whom?
By whoever. Like, okay, you say, I'm going to do this, right? So whose door are you knocking on, or who are you asking, and what is the reception? Is it like sure, or is it like you got to work your way all the way up?
Well, the resolve was already within me. The fire was lit within my belly. So I knew that no matter who received it or perceived it, whatever way, that this is what I was going to do. I didn't want to look back in 20 years and wonder what might have been, because I'd already been wasting about 8 years doing something that I didn't enjoy. So it started with my parents. Neither one of them were very happy with my decision to go into the entertainment industry.
Okay.
So it wasn't until I did Rent that they both came to see me separately perform the role of Mimi that I did not have to endure conversations that had nothing to do with the entertainment industry.
Right.
But I was always received by God's grace, positively by the audiences that I have performed for.
Black is the color of my true love's hair.
That's really a blessing, and then to be on Broadway. I mean, so many people start from the bottom and move their way up, and they never get to
That's
Broadway.
true, and it's interesting you would say that, because considering it wasn't part of my dream, it wasn't part of my plan, and when I wound up there, at the time I didn't appreciate it as much as I could have until I returned to it to do Aida. And just like you said, there are many people who go to college, and just their aspiration is to be on Broadway.
Right.
And there I was, there.
Okay, so can you tell us, what is one of your fondest memories of your mother?
It's on the CD. The very first song that you hear is called Music for Lovers. My mother introduces me. It was July 24th, 1999. And if you look inside the CD, you'll see a picture. It says Family Limousine Ride to the Guinness Blues Festival. It was my daughter, who was 6 weeks at the time, my mother and myself, and we were riding in a limousine to the actual venue. And you hear a portion of that night. And Mommy said that she hadn't accompanied anyone since she was about 18, 19 years old. I think that might have been when she was living here in Philly.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it was an epiphanous night for both of us. It was a true acceptance on her part of me as an entertainer and a performer. And when she could say, hey, baby, go down center stage and let me play for you.
Right, definitely. No, I mean, what an amazing thing. And I think that's really personal to share, like, with all of your listeners on the album. So I'm giving thanks for that myself. But I also wanted to ask you, how much of an influence do you think your mother was on you in terms of music-wise? You know, was she constantly saying, you know, I'm going to teach you this or that, or was it a matter of you waking up one morning and Mom's playing the piano, or you go visit Mom and all you hear is just her music? And how did that affect your musical tastes and influences and what you bring?
I think first of all, we never really discussed music in terms of me doing it as a profession or her lecturing me or teaching me on something. Most of the time we sang together. She would teach me songs. She would teach me different things on the piano, duets that we could do. I think because I breathed the same air as she. I was at a lot of her concerts in the wings. When you're around something, first of all, when you have something in your DNA, there are a lot of similarities that amaze people even to this day when parents and kids don't live in the same place, you know? So I've absorbed a lot of stuff through my DNA, as well as by being in the same places that Mommy was.
Absolutely, and I know you say, also I was reading that you feel an incredible, immense bond towards your mom, and I read also that, you know, you moved around a lot and she moved around a lot, and you said that the umbilical cord is stronger than actually being in the same place. I don't want to paraphrase,
yes,
but
interesting.
Yeah,
I don't remember half of what I said, but ooh,
really?
that was deep.
You
That's
did,
right.
you
That's
did,
true.
you did.
It's true. You don't necessarily have to be in the same room or the same state in order to be connected to someone.
Absolutely.
And I'm connected to her still.
Absolutely. And finally, I want to ask, this first album is such a tribute, and it speaks very much to your connection with your mother. But what do we look for also in the future from you, and what might your sound like?
My sound is a bit different than this. My delivery remains the same. I've been influenced by church, influenced by jazz, and so that will probably be the common thread. This CD, Simone on Simone, pays homage to the one who walked before me, the sacrifices she made, the messages that she left us with, and the love and healing that are represented in a lot of those songs. It's as if I'm giving my mother a bow. As I begin my journey, I always told her that she was the doorway through which I had to walk in order to achieve my superstardom, and I quote. And if I'm not walking through that doorway right now, I don't know what else to call it. I just had no idea that she wouldn't be here on this plane to see it. So now that she's done this, as I begin my second project, it'll be about Simone, the daughter, the message, the music, and people will get to experience more of me.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for
You're
taking
welcome.
time out of your busy schedule to talk to little us. So I would really
Anytime.
appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right. This is Reelblack. See you in 2 weeks.
Despair, and no matter where I go, it's always hey, black is the color of my true love's hair.